Welcome to The Ripple Within, a podcast by All-in-One Life Coaching. I'm Michelle, a certified life coach specializing in mindset, emotional wellness, and the law of attraction. I work with people to help create the narrative around their desired outcome.
And I'm Kathy. I'm here to ask the questions, explore the patterns, and share the real-life moments that make this all, make sense.
This podcast is about the connection between how we feel and the physical reality we experience every day. We'll explore how our thoughts lead to outcomes and how narrative shifts can create big change.
We'll keep it grounded using logic and lived experience, not just theory. And if you've ever wondered why you feel stuck, reactive, or out of sync with yourself, you're not alone.
Our life experience will always match how we feel. This podcast is about exploring our ripple within, how our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and values contribute to the physical life we live. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone. All right, Kathy, what are we talking about today?
Today is Bizarro, and I say Bizarro because it's been a Bizarro week, and it just hasn't been me. I felt like it's been a week in the Twilight Zone, or Groundhog Day, or Twilight Zone. Things have happened that you think or you know or you believe that other people know as well, but they're not doing it. It's like all of a sudden brains, and it's not just me. Several people that I chatted with today on the phone also said, yeah, like people lost their minds. And then somebody said, well, it is a full moon this week. Whatever. But you know what I mean? It's just been bizarre. And for a lot of people, just me, but I think I'm losing my mind sometimes this week. Like, it's just been nuts. Like, how do you know this? I know you know this. How do you, yeah.
So let's talk about that because I've had an interesting week as well, just within myself. I've been experiencing some frustration and annoyance and just being tired. And just, it really does seem like there's a lot going on these days. But let's talk about that a little bit. When you say Twilight Zone, tell me what you mean. What is the gap that you seem to be experiencing?
It feels like I'm on a different planet, or I'm not even in my own body. I'm not even reading the stuff that I'm reading or seeing the stuff that I'm seeing, and not fully comprehending or believing that some of the things that I'm being asked for, or it is real. It's like, you know the answer to like, I'm always happy to help, don't get me wrong, but when other people's responses and other people's job affects my job and my well-being and my feelings of frustration and being in the Twilight Zone. I could have swore yesterday was Friday, and maybe that's because of the week that it has been. And then when I discovered, truly by not only checking my phone but checking my computer date, and then really comprehending that no, it was in fact not Friday, I so disappointed, because I was like, what the hell is happening this week? I swear it's been at least 5 days and 4. So that's the kind of Twilight feeling. It's just been bizarre.
So let's talk about that.
I know what you're going to say. You're going to say I'm creating my own shit. But if I'm creating my own shit, but if it's not just me in the shit, is it like all of us creating shit for each individual person, and we're all in the same damn bucket of What the hell is happening?
You're answering the question, right? Because we aren't in this alone ever. There's a collective environment happening. Even if we weren't having a conversation with somebody or we weren't in the same room as somebody else, we would still be in here creating thought, making it up on somebody else's behalf, maybe, reliving a memory, creating the future, questioning the why, viewing the Twilight Zone. We are still doing that in here. And whenever we do that as humans, we're rarely doing that alone. We're still making it up with other people participating in that. But the tricky part, and you said something interesting, which is if what they're doing is affecting me or affecting my work, that's where it becomes a little bit tricky for us because they only get to affect us truly when we let them affect us, when we allow what they're doing to present a challenge for us. Now, we want to make sure that we understand that it's logical that if somebody is not doing their job, that can be really irritating and annoying because it adds pressure to us and puts more on our plate. And then we start to challenge that topic of, but it's your job. Why aren't you doing your job? And that's where the trickiness comes in. Because the minute that we start questioning somebody else's lack or their inability to complete something, it doesn't take away that they may not be doing it, but what it's doing is now putting us in that position of, oh my God, why can't people just do their jobs? And then we become the ones who end up in the rabbit hole. It doesn't mean that what they're doing or not doing is meeting expectation of, say, the organization or meeting an expectation within a relationship kind of thing. But if we're the ones viewing it as them not doing their job, then one, it's logical we don't feel good because it is simply not up to them to help us feel better within that same environment.
When you asked me to describe the Twilight Zone, it came to me as you were talking because you're a freaking genius. It felt like I really had to pull myself out of the rabbit hole more this week than any other week so far on a daily, hourly, whatever basis.
Ooh, that just gave me the chills.
I found myself having to constantly do my five things, constantly someone to have a conversation with that I knew would make me feel better. It not only making myself feel better, but getting somebody else to help me feel better too. But I spent more time doing that this week than I think I ever have.
Okay. There's such beauty in what you're describing, though. So you had to spend more time doing the five whys, finding appreciation, finding some gratitude, reaching out to folks who could help you maintain that bucket. Whereas let's go back a few years, and again, it's not something we encourage, but we'll go back in this case to be able to do a comparison. Had something similar happened, and I promise you have had rough weeks before and
Probably.
challenging
Yeah.
weeks before with new people or just things not going well and according to plan at work. We've experienced that before. But old school Kathy wouldn't have found those five whys and really would have had a rough week. So even though this particular week felt like there was more that we had to do the work, more to feel better than ever before, talk to me about what would have been the alternative. If you hadn't done the work to bring yourself at least to a place of satisfied looking for more, what would this week, what would have the potential have been?
I'd have just spent the whole week pissed off at the world. I mean,
Yep.
I yeah, I would have. I But it's exhausting. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm tired.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I had a similar week where it was a bit more challenging this week to find it, not only to find it, but to be willing to even do it, do the work. So, myself included this week, I was in and out quite a bit of the rabbit hole. And then, of course, because we do choose to live a life that's healthier and premised in well being and doing that work in the background so that we can do it. For me, too, right? There's a lot of rain here, there's a lot of mosquitoes. Work is really busy. We're at month end and just finish that. And then the whole cycle starts over again. And then you involve personal life and family and friends and children and pets and expenses. And it was like, oh, like I just wanted to stop this week kind of thing. But what do you think really that you learned as a result of one, doing the work, but more importantly, about how you were focusing?
I'm not sure I'm honestly there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I know that when I'm done for the day that I can sort of just let it go and move on and then start thinking about it first thing in the morning again. But I'm not sure that today specifically I've been able to just let it go yet. I, I know that working so hard this week to even not pull my hair out every single day.
Yep.
Is this a result of all the negativity in the world that's happened in the last week and more people noticing the negativity? Maybe like gas prices and the war's on, the war's off, the war's on, the war's off. It's like a whatever that psycho doll is that spins her head around. It's or tariffs potentially, grocery prices high. I it's it as much as I stay away from the news and it's all still out there. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
like we can just trying to and then compiled on top of this and compiled on top of that and compiled on top of that and
Mm-hmm.
compiled on top of that and all of a sudden we're in Twilight Zone week.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, and I think you just said it again, though. We are just not going to be able to look at the shit show and see that happening and feel good within it. And it's why we say a lot here that we have access to all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. We just do as human beings, because that is what exists within our planet and within our time space reality. We do have access to all of it. There's really big indicators in it if we really are only noticing the negative stuff, because that is not the only thing that's happening.
And it's not that I notice all the negative. I've been watching Calgary Stampede all week too, and watching it. I love the horses. I like the barrel racing and chuck wagon races and this new event, the relay racing
I
that they
love
have.
those so
Oh my
much. They are
gosh.
so talented.
And
Yes.
right, and the fact that it's being broadcast on TV for people that can't go spend, you know, 10
Mm-hmm.
days in Calgary, it's it's such a huge wonderful thing and I
Yes.
like what and I mean that's probably part of the problem is watching that all week too. But it makes me happy, it makes me feel good to watch people do well and new things that encourage other cultures, and the
Yeah.
fact that culture is even more forefront
Embraced
across
and
Canada. Yeah, exactly. And it's such a blessing to be able to watch the decorations of the horses, and to have
yeah.
someone explain some of the symbols and why they do what they do, and why they're painted a certain it was such, it made me feel so proud, A, to be
Mhm.
Canadian, but B, to be accepting of other cultures and the way they
Yeah.
do things, and to want to learn more,
More.
even more. And I love the dancing when they show it. I'm in awe of it, how much physical prowess, I can't think of a better word at the moment, but how much physical energy, and to maintain something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not the same people every day, all day long. Do you know what I mean? But still, you have to have some sort of
They're very
physicalness,
skilled.
right? To be able to do and portray and have the audience feel what it is that we feel when we are able to watch something like that.
Let me ask you something because you said, I've been watching it all week, and that could be part of the problem. If something feels really good to do and experience and provides sensations of being proud and just, oh my gosh, their skill level is amazing, why would that be a problem in your
Well, because
eyes?
it's kind of late. I mean, it's kind of late to be. Well, I mean, some of it didn't finish till like 11 o'clock. Of course, I'm watching the repeats because I don't see it during the day because I'm working during the day, so I PVR it, and then. Yeah, so I know, I get it. I'm doing part of it to myself, but it also makes me feel good in a
Yeah.
week that's been twilighty.
Yeah. That's going to go to then if we know that we're staying up too late for watching this awesomeness, then yeah, there is some power in you knowing that. And there's some power in you being able to make different decisions for tomorrow. You can say things to yourself like, I know I can stay up all night and watch this, but I also recognize that I have a job and I have commitments. We know unequivocally that you, Kathy, you do want to do a good job and you do want to show up for your organization and for your family and you do want to be that person. But if you limit your ability to be able to do that by staying up too late, therefore not getting enough rest, then yeah, sure, you essentially are contributing. However, if the watching of it brings more peace and facilitates the ability to be able to sleep better when you do, then yeah, there could be a bit of a trade-off in there. If you didn't watch it at all, the something you really enjoy that helped you feel good, if you weren't watching that, then that other negative stuff would be way worse.
Yeah. There was, in my defense, there was one night this week where it was 9 o'clock, and I'm just going to set the PVR and I'm going to bed. I'm going to sleep. And I
Yeah.
went to bed and I laid there going, oh, they did. I wonder if they won their pool. I wonder if they made it into the top four. I'm like, shit! So then I just get up and I went and sat on the couch.
Because this is
Because then
so busy and
this is,
curious.
I know, and I just couldn't turn it off, and I'm like tossing and turning, and I'm looking at my watch, and it's like 10 o'clock. All right, I'm trying to sleep, and then it's like 11 o'clock. I'm like, shit, just go watch it. So I did.
Yeah. And then that 6 a.m. at work comes real quick at that point. So, overall, I want to go back to because it's really important for people who are into this and wanting to learn how to be in an environment where there is some really crappy things happening around us, and whether it's around the world or within our own communities, if we are annoyed at what someone else is doing, it's not wrong. It just means I'm the one annoyed right now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we assume everyone should know, again, we're the ones who are going to get disappointed because they're going to very quickly point themselves out that they don't know,
It's true.
right?
That's true.
And then we don't get to blame their silliness. That puts us in the rabbit hole. It doesn't mean it's wrong. We're not wrong by reacting to something ridiculous and going, well, that's crazy talk, what you're doing over there. That's not a wrong response to it, because our vision of it is that it's dumb. Like, why are you doing that? That's dumb. But it's that thought, it's that sensation to it that causes us not to feel good, because well-being is not looking at it like it's dumb. Well-being is looking at it like an opportunity to be helpful. Well-being is looking at it like an opportunity to research, to discover, to be part of the solution, to have an opportunity to go with the flow, to watch the rodeo.
And not be judgy. Yeah. Makes
It's who
sense.
we are
Yeah.
at our cores, to be accepting and to be kind and to be curious and to be helpful and supportive. So when we step away from that momentarily, even if it's just for a split second, we notice.
Yeah. I hit my elbow on my deadbolt on the door the other day. It was a rude awakening. I don't even know how that deadbolts are up here, elbows down here. Don't ask me how it I did.
It's really loud, though. It's
It was
really
freaking. I'm
loud.
like, how is that even possible? Oh man, yeah, it was loud.
And you caught yourself, because I know you mentioned it earlier in the week and we had little bit of a laugh about it, because when it does get to a true physical experience like that, then we can just know that we have been playing around in the bucket. And whether it was we were in a hurry, we weren't paying attention, our mind was over in advance, our mind was back here, not focused on the task at hand. Yeah, we open ourselves up to the possibility. And if we're already playing in the rabbit hole, the bonking of the elbow is only logical.
It was loud. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, universe, I get it. Okay, I got it. All right.
I'm going to go watch me some Stampede.
I I got it. I'm taking a break. It's okay. Micro break.
And
Yeah.
so, talk to me a little bit about what it feels like for you now to have those discoveries, because those are big things and we don't want to make light of those, because those are really big things that you're doing.
It, yeah. I I think it's twofold though. I would prefer it didn't. I mean, yes, I'm tired from the week. The week has been a challenge, but I wouldn't have changed anything in it either. I learned, I grew. It's and even if I look back, not that we spent a lot of time in the past, but even looking back, even right now, my time moving forward this weekend is going to be better. It just is. It's going to be better. So I don't want people to think that this journey is exhausting or
Yeah.
overwhelming or hard or any of those. It's any I don't want to say the wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's rewarding.
Ooh.
It's it's peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It's pleasant. It can make you smile for the dumbest reasons, just like a true love can make you smile at just the thought of it. When you're happy and you're learning to put yourself first, you're learning to make
Yeah.
yourself happy first. And
Yes. So good.
it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's rewarding.
You already answered the question before me asking because I was going to say if we don't want people to think this is a lot of work,
Yeah.
what do we want them to think, right? Which is that very thing. Now, let's really get to the nitty-gritty. What kind of work did you do this week in preparation? What was your prep work? Were you still
Too
waking up
much.
and
Too
were you
much prep work.
were you still doing the intentions and I intend to have a good week? Were you still doing the homework? Were you participating as much in the preparation to having a good week? Or were we kind of just going with it?
We, we tried for sure to go with the flow. When things were coastery, we needed to pay more attention to what was happening. When frustrations were happening, when I spent too much time in my office chair and my butt fell asleep. Things like that that were clear
Mm-hmm.
indicators that, you know, maybe I
Yes.
wasn't doing exactly what I needed to do in that exact moment, and that maybe I should go find something else to do for 5 minutes, right? And just call it a day. But
That's so big, though. It's just so big to be able to recognize and acknowledge that, okay, my butt's numb. I need to stand up and go do something versus maybe old school Kathy would have pushed through the pain because there was work to do.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So, this clarity and this awareness that you have now, this desire to feel better more often than not, because we're just going to have some shite days from time to time. That is part of our growth and our development and how we perceive now and learn about what we prefer. And we'll use the numb butt, for example. We prefer not to have a numb butt. So, what does that mean? We prefer to have circulation. We prefer to be able to feel all our extremities. That is what we prefer. And you making a conscious decision to get up and go do something different for 5 minutes, that is the solution. Now, we can even make it bigger for the future. Maybe we put a reminder in our phone every couple of hours that an alarm will go off, which will be our indicator to stand up and move around and stretch and do that kind of thing. Because we get lost in work, we get caught up, and all of a sudden 4 hours went by. We haven't had a sip of water, we haven't used the restroom. We just have been so focused on what we're doing, and our extremities have gone numb. So, your awareness and your ability to take part in your own well being, your desire to be responsible and accountable for feeling better, that is literally the work.
Huh. Well, I'm dabble in that all the time. All the time.
Yeah,
I'm
you
dabbling
do.
away.
Yes, you do. And you dabble in
Oh,
it and you discover and you learn and you're spending more time in the solution than ever before in your experience.
it's true. And gets easier and easier to recognize. I'm going to work on less funny bones on doorknobs for obvious choices, but it does start to almost become, well, I'm sure for you, automatic. You can start, maybe you drop a fork on the floor. And maybe dropping a fork on the floor is just dropping a fork on the floor sometimes, but maybe other times it's a acknowledgement that, you're starting to wibble wobble just a little bit. Maybe you should just give yourself a check. Yeah.
Exactly that. It's exactly that. We don't hit our elbow before getting upset. We are not having a great time, a fun experience, living satisfied, doing the work, and then bonk our elbows. That happens when we're already playing in the rabbit hole, and it might have been a day of doing this. I'm feeling okay. Nope, that irritates me. No, wait, I'm going to do the work. And then, no, wait a minute, that person's a dum dum. And then all of a sudden you hear that snippet of news, or somebody will text you and remind you of, and then you're like, see, yep, the world's a bit of a gong show. And then before you know it, you start to remember that I have all these tasks to do, and I've got to walk the dog, and I've got to do this. And then now you're reaching for the door, but you're actually down here grabbing something else or reaching for the dog. And before you know it, you've hit your elbow. Whereas when we're present, when we're focused on in the moment and the task at hand. Ooh, I just got the chills big. When we're focused more in that and truly present in what we're about to do, then we're not doing 12 things at once or attempting to. It's so interesting to me because I would love, and again, we can never go back in time, but it would be awesome to be able to see how many missed near misses there were.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
So many near misses humans experience, and we take that for granted. We just do because they never happen, right? The near miss doesn't happen. We don't acknowledge it. And sometimes we do because I know I've been, whoo, that was close. He, ha, whoo, can't believe that. Whoo, can't believe I skated by that one. But not really being able to appreciate the true gravity of that.
I had one yesterday walking the dog, a near miss, and all the way home I was thinking about the steps that brought me to just before that moment of being hit by a
Chills.
vehicle. Yeah. Of and trying to think in my head what my thoughts were, what I was thinking about before I took that step off the curb and the vehicle passed by and I didn't complete that step. Do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
and so all the way home I'm thinking and hyper aware, I don't know what you'd even call it, but I always pay attention when we go on walks because I know people aren't always paying attention. They
they're
don't
not
always
always satisfied
follow
and
the
above either.
rules, and yeah, following the rules and stopping at red lights and stopping at pedestrian crosswalk and all those sorts of things. So I'm super, even back alleys, if we are walking down the sidewalk and we cross a back alley, I always stop and peek my head around to make sure there's nobody coming down the back, like super just safe, right? Safe. And
I like
I'm not
that.
even sure what it was yesterday. It was almost like I zoned out while we were waiting for the light to change, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what stopped me from stepping out when I saw that the light is changed and then a vehicle goes by. And
So I want us to clean it up a little bit
yeah,
from
yeah,
a
yeah.
perspective of it really doesn't matter about other people being unsafe. That is definitely a condition. It
Yeah,
is. But what it really is about is you making sure that it's safe for you to go.
yeah,
Because you're absolutely right. There are people who are running lights and we don't know what kind of days they're having. They're in the rush. They're not paying attention to traffic laws. That just exists. It's not about what they're doing. It's about what you're doing. So if we're going to cross the street, red light, green light doesn't matter. If we're going to cross the street, it's up to us to make sure it's safe to do so. It's interesting because for me, that's well being, your well being looking out for you. That's your well being zoning you out so you don't just blindly walk into traffic. You're meant to have this fun experience, this, and even when this is in some chaos sometimes, well-being is still rooting for you.
Definitely rooted for us yesterday. Definitely. Sure.
Yeah.
And grateful for it, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll go back to, and it's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we had the lovely Jorgelina on with us, who is a registered therapeutic counselor, and she's coming to the table with a whole bunch of credentials. And one of the things that she talked about in that episode was that we're accountable for me. I'm accountable for how this is participating, this vessel that I'm bringing to the table, the words, oops, that are going to come out of my mouth, the things that I'm going to write down and participate in. I'm the one responsible for that. So when we do the work that you do and the work that we encourage a lot, when we do that prep work in advance, it is easier for us to be able to maintain it, not only internally and feel better, but then to project it out into the universe. I'll talk about one other thing really quick because it came up this morning with a client. This client has been receiving some unexpected compliments this week and gratitude that they maybe hadn't experienced before. And when I asked them, what do you think the behaviors were that you brought to the table to be able to get that? And they had a really difficult time answering that question because it's so hard for us as people to internalize, what did I do to get a compliment? For me, I'm like, were you kind and helpful or were you pointing the finger and blameful? Oh no, I was kind and helpful. Okay, that perfectly lines up then with a compliment. But we don't recognize within ourselves that when we come to the table with that mentality, with that attitude, with that desire, that the natural reaction to that from others is going to come from the same bucket. It would be really odd for somebody to be behaving from support, helpfulness, kindness, and then have somebody complain to your face that you're being a jerk. That would be really weird. It would be a mismatch.
I just, when you said that, it brings to mind, if you go to a store or if you go to wherever and you go to talk to somebody and you assume that you're in
Mm.
a good mood, or you know that you're in a good mood, and you go to talk to somebody and the reception is not as welcoming. You don't know what kind of a day they're having, but by their reaction to you, you might get a sensation that they're not having such a good day.
I would say it. Why does it matter?
It would make my experience a little more pleasant if they were a little more pleasant.
That's conditional.
Ah. I
It's
struggle
funny.
with that one because it's customer service, right?
It,
I struggle with that one so bad.
Most people do, really. And I've been there too, where, you see somebody coming down the street and you're like, hi,
Yeah.
how are you? And they
Yeah.
just ignore
Yeah.
you and you
And
keep going,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, old school me probably would have said to myself, I'm just not going to do that anymore because that sucks. But for me now, no. If I'm going to be willing to remove my kindness because you're not going to reciprocate, then I'm the one in the rabbit hole. So I don't say hello to people to get a reaction. I don't. That's not the goal for me. I'm not saying hello to cheer you up. I'm saying hello because I like to say hello and be kind and friendly.
Ah, that makes holding the door open for somebody make a lot more sense. When you hold the
Mm-hmm.
door open for somebody and they just go through and don't say a word, and then you sometimes see people yelling down the street, "You're welcome."
Mm-hmm.
That
Because
makes
now they've gone to the
yeah.
rabbit hole because they have an expectation that their kindness deserves some sort of reward. Whereas with our perspective and law of attraction, it doesn't care. It's not about the getting the stuff. It's about you being able to be in kindness in that moment. And even with a negative response from somebody in kindness, I would then challenge motives a little bit because in our world, law of attraction is always behaving from the predominant energy state. So it's why we don't want people running around being fake kind because law of attraction knows the difference. It has to be
Yeah.
unconditional. It just simply has to be. Because the second we rely on another human being to respond a specific way, then we are simply playing with fire. It becomes 50-50 of whether or not we're going to get the outcome that matches. We don't know what kind of day they're having. We don't know cultural beliefs. We don't know when people got here, if they were born here, what country they're from, what life experience they're having. We don't know any of that information. So when we come to the table with that, hey, how are you, and get nothing, then, and it's not wrong for us to do that. It would be tricky for us to do that and then be upset when we don't get the preferred response. Make sense?
Uh, I don't
Yeah.
even remember what our original topic was. How bad
It
is
was
that?
about this
We have
week
such a
being in
great
the
time.
Twilight
Oh, yeah.
Zone.
Twilight Zone. See how far we moved up already. Yes,
See,
Twilight
well,
Zone.
actually,
Yes.
that statement alone just gave me the chills. At the top of this today, it was like this was a rough week and things were sideways and this and that. But ultimately, as we're closing out, how would you now describe this week versus being in the Twilight Zone versus what? If you had to re-describe it now, how would you describe it?
Challenging but fun.
Okay. Could we,
Challenging but fun.
was it
Learned
also
learned a lot.
insightful? Did you learn stuff this week?
Insightful. I learned lots of stuff. Yep.
Yeah,
Stuff.
so now we could say, and this is something we talk about a lot about that narrative we use, if we're describing something as being in the Twilight Zone and off, or
I
being
learned a lot this week.
insightful
Yeah.
and learned a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
we can just feel the difference and which one would be more accurate.
I learned a lot this week.
Just gave me the chills.
Yep,
Gave
I
me
learned
the
a
chills.
lot this week. If any of our listeners have any comments or questions, or hey, if you want to join us on a podcast, leave your email below and in contact, or contact us direct if you know us, and we'd love to have you on. Give Michelle a challenge. She likes it.
I
Till
do.
next time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kathy.